Although spring is off to a really slow and cool start, this rhubarb is producing, so I do get to harvest something on May 1st, which is nice. I'm gonna get a bunch of stalks and I'm gonna make some strawberry rhubarb jam. This thing is huge, but it was a good harvest. This shows me I got it from way down at the base, which is what I want. And this whole stalk is food. The green leaf is not, but I do have something I want to make with it though. You can't eat it, but you can use it in your garden. Another good pull. So this is the final harvest. I think I have enough. I have no idea. We'll see. But I put the glove up there. That's a full-size woman's garden glove for reference. These jokers are big. Now I can go ahead, take these in the house and get started. Okay, I'm gonna get the first batch cleaned and chopped up. I'm gonna get rid of the leaves first and then I'll start chopping up the stems. This is the first batch with some of the larger pieces. I just added a splash of water. I'm gonna put it on like a medium-low heat and see if it brings out water. I'm not adding any like salt or sugar or anything like that. This is the round 2 waiting to go in the pot. These have definitely softened up in just like the last 2 minutes maybe. I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest. I don't know if I told you why I wanted to simmer these or kind of stew these down a little bit first. I'm making strawberry rhubarb jam, and the strawberries, I'm using organic frozen strawberries, so they're already on the softer side, and this is not nearly as soft as the strawberries. I just want to kind of level the playing field, so when I put both the rhubarb and the strawberries in to start the jam process, then this will already be a little softer and we won't end up with jam that has fibrous rhubarb and soft strawberries. It's a couple minutes later and look at all that moisture. I really don't want to lose that much flavor, so there's still a few pieces that need to stew down. I'm gonna let it just keep going for a few more minutes with the lid off. I was doing some serious multitasking in the kitchen on this day, so I don't mind saying I pulled out some help. I'm using my jam maker, and what it does is it stirs for me, it times things, it keeps the heat regulated to where it needs to be, and it frees me up so I don't have to stand over a pot, I don't have to stir it, I can just listen out for the beeps and take the necessary step. The first step is adding my fruit pectin, which is what you saw me sprinkle on the bottom. I'm adding in the strawberries, and these were organic frozen strawberries. I just crushed them with a potato masher. Now I'm adding in the stewed rhubarb and a tiny little piece of butter, which is optional. This just basically eliminates the foaming that can happen. I've selected the jam setting, so for the next 4 minutes, it's heating up and it's going to spin constantly. Then in 4 minutes, it's going to beep, and that's my reminder to add sugar. Time to add sugar. Rather than dumping it all in at one time, I'm going to add the sugar in gradually. Once I've added all the sugar, I can put the lid on and walk away. It will continue to spin, and it will eventually come to a hard rolling boil, and then once it's done, it'll beep to let me know. Meanwhile, I have my water bath canner pot ready, and my clean jars are sitting in there warming up. The jam maker has completed the process, and it's beeping to let me know it's done. Now I can get my clean hot jars out of the canner pot and fill them up with this delicious strawberry rhubarb jam. Spoiler alert, this jam is delicious. Just so you know, in case you've never done this before, you can do this in a regular big old pot. The only reason I have an actual water bath canner pot is because when I first started canning years ago, I didn't know the difference. I thought I was buying a pressure canner. Now I'm filling the jars with jam and I'm leaving a 1/4 inch headspace at the top. I'm not going to actually measure the headspace though until I do this debubbling step, because when you do this, it releases trapped air and the amount of jam could shift. So the true measurement is after you debubble. If necessary, I can add a little more or take a little out to get the proper headspace. As luck would have it, I got the headspace on all 4 of these perfect. Now I'm going to use a little distilled vinegar and I'm going to clean the rims of the jars. This ensures that nothing's going to interfere with the seal. If you look at that paper towel, you'll see why I do it twice. Now I'm using a magnetic lid lifter and putting all the flat parts of the lids on. Then I'll add the second part of the lid, which is the band or ring, and I like to just put it on, spin it until it stops, and then just use my fingertips and tighten it a little bit more. You don't want to make it tighter than that. Now I can finally get my jars into the canning pot. Notice I'm only doing 4 jars at a time, and that's because I'm using the jam maker. The jam maker is meant for small batches only, so 4 jars at a time it is. This works out well though, because water bath canning is so much faster than pressure canning. These only need 10 minutes of processing time and then they're done. Since I'm using the water bath canning pot, I figured I'd show you the gauge. When it comes to a rolling boil, the needle moves into a dark green zone to let you know it's time to start your time. While the first batch is going in the canner pot, I have the second batch of jam going in the jam maker. Since this is the first time I've added rhubarb to my strawberry jam, doing it in these small batches also allowed me to get my measurements perfected. For example, if I use these same ratios of strawberry and rhubarb in the future, and I use frozen organic strawberries rather than fresh, I know that 1 bag of strawberries is going to get me 8 jars. That means my third batch is rhubarb only and does not have strawberry. Let me shut up for a minute so we can hear this ping. Something I didn't mention earlier is when you're water bath canning jam, you want your water level to be at least 1 inch above your jars. And also, once it's done, I like to let my jars sit in the canner pot with the lid off for about 5 minutes or more before taking them out. In canning, gradual heat changes are always best. I didn't know what to expect with this last batch of rhubarb only jam because rhubarb by itself doesn't really have a distinct flavor necessarily. It's just very tart, but this jam is really good and I would actually do it again. So I ended up with 8 of the strawberry rhubarb jams and 4 of the rhubarb only. I always get the question, how long are these jars okay to sit on the shelf? The answer is always a little complicated because the official answer is going to always be something like maybe 2 to 3 years. However, what happens in real life is they stay on the shelf a lot longer than that sometimes. The general rule of thumb is as long as you canned your food properly and it maintains a good seal, then it's still okay. If both of those things are true, the food would lose its taste integrity before it actually went bad. I hope that helps.